Welcome back to another episode of the Broken Kid Podcast. Today we are back, we're happy, and everyone should be excited. And just remember, I am just happy to be here. So if you guys are enjoying the videos, go ahead, take a look at them, see if you guys like them. The best way that you can give us starting creators a chance to essentially get feedback is to just drop a like or a little comment. It's not really in the name of begging, it's more so in the name to give us a sense of whether we're doing a good job or not. And just leave any ideas for what you think we should talk about. This should be a place where you're comfortable, where you pretty much feel like you can come here and just let loose. It should feel like a unicorn land where you can come here and hear absurd ideas, absurd takes, crazy opinions, and they're all rooted in absurdity. They don't have to be serious. A lot of this podcast, I'm gonna say it, is satire. It's making fun of the world, with everything that's going, except Charlie Kirk. Because if we make fun of that, we're in trouble. It seems like anybody who says anything about Charlie Kirk against him gets in trouble. Especially if you're like a teacher and you say something, and that's been probably 2 seconds too long talking about the individual. So instead I'm going to talk about maybe Ryan Reynolds, somebody who's actually nice. Somebody who's just Ryan Reynolds. But like I said, bringing it back down to a little bit more grounded level before we get into this, we are just going to try to make this a place where everyone can come here and have a blast. It's a long form podcast. These videos shouldn't take more than 20 to maybe even 40 minutes on sometimes. But that being said, let's just have a good time. And after I just have said let's have a good time, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a period of my life, which is still now and even back then, about living in a terrible neighborhood. And how many of you have had this happen, where here, I'll give you the backstory. We used to live in government rented apartments where they were pretty much the aid apartments where they could help you, not where you go and get AIDS, that would be horrible, but where you go and you essentially live there at a much more discounted price. And as you could imagine, this was no mansion, this was no Playboy mansion. It was actually quite the exact opposite. I have seen tree houses that were much more better furnished than these places that I lived in. And that being said, I had lived there since I was like 4 years old. I moved out when I was probably about 13 years old. So we lived there for a while. Now, everything that I had said, yes, it was a bad neighbor. It wasn't the best place to live in. But there wasn't any really lousy neighbors. And it was pretty much kind of like the projects, but a few rings above that. But then my sister, who decided to throw everything away, and said, you know what, we should get out of here. We should look for an apartment, a real apartment. And where did she decide to move us to? I'm 24 now. I was roughly 13 when I moved out, with my mom, my sister, and me, of course. Little did I know that what we were moving into was going to be a death wish, the kiss of death, as they say in the movie world. And what am I saying by this? What is the kiss of death? Essentially, it's when you get labeled or put in a position that is not advantageous, that is nearly impossible to come out of. And you might be wondering, well, what situation are you in now? Well, I live in a much worse neighborhood. I have I live next to 3 other people, because essentially this is the model. We live here, right? Let's say square here, this is our house, our cube. We live here, but it's also stuck to another cube, meaning another apartment. It's just the first floor. It's not really considered a duplex. It's like a crappier version of a duplex. And then there's a big space, maybe like 25 feet worth of space, if that. And then it's the same thing mirrored. So the one cube and then another cube stuck together. Replicate that over there. Now, you might be wondering, what is so horrible about this living space? It's less people. Shouldn't that be good? No. Because your neighbors determine how happy you're going to be. And you better pray to God that if you move to neighbors, or if you have a top or a bottom downstairs neighbor, you better hope that that neighbor is considerate. And of course, I live in a neighborhood where they have a lot of kids, and now these kids are grown-up assholes, and they're disrespectful and inconsiderate. Now, what's one of my issues? Well, aside from having many, one of them is the people that are the neighbors. They're rude, they're ignorant. For one, this is a whole story. If anybody ever tells you that they know a mechanic that is trustworthy and good, that's when you raise the middle finger and you say, you know absolutely nothing. Because if you think you're good, if Hitler opened a church and named it the Modern Church of Hitler, you might just go and praise there blindly. Because there's no such thing, very rare. I have yet to meet one. And the good ones probably charge a lot of money, rightfully so, because they're working on a machine. But the neighbor who I work here, who lives here, does his like own private mechanic work, if you even want to call it that. But essentially it's a screw job and a half, and it comes with a lemon. Now what kind of lemon? Let's just say we're going to put the word car after lemon. A lemon car. Now he has all these cars, like probably 5 of them or 8 of them that don't work. So they're not operable. So we have all these cars, and people are going to say, well, they're not on your side. The thing is A, it looks corrupt. B, it looks like a bunch of people live here, when in reality, there are a bunch of people that live here, but not that many. You look at the cars and it looks like a dealership. And I'm wondering, oh Lord, this is just horrendous. Yeah, the other thing is, you know, aside from the car problem, that he has an excess of cars, the other thing, for the longest time, he would take parking spots that belong to us. Now, the story behind this is, after like, you know, we moved in here 2012-ish, 2013, I think. Worst idea ever. Now, who do I blame for this? My sister. And if you're watching this, I hope you fall down a well, and you can't get out of there. I really do. But like I was saying, the other thing is he would block us from getting in. That's strike 2. Now we're not gonna have strike 3 because we're gonna be like on strike 64. But of course, this is a podcast. I can only keep it a certain length. The upsetting other part is, you know, like I was saying, they would park everywhere. They would take our parking spot, and then they had the audacity to say, wait. We'll give you our parking spot. Your parking spot. Your parking spot. We'll give it to you. We'll give it to you when we're done. Excuse me? How does that crap work? And this is why it's so important for me to stick to what I want to do. The YouTube videos, the acting, the improv, because that's something I want to do. I want to become an influential actor. I want my movies, my work, well, not my movies, but the movies that I'm a piece of to touch people. Not as much as Harvey Weinstein, but you get the point. And definitely not as much as Kevin Spacey. But you get the point. And also definitely not as much as Bill Cosby. And where was I? All this pedophile talk is making me like... It's like I took a drink from the Bill Cosby estate. But that being said, what I do want to address is this idea that they pretty much were inconsiderate, pushing the limits. So my PSA to you guys is, if you're going to move to a place, it's not so much of a bad idea to check out the place before you rent it. And I'm not saying go check the apartment. I'm also not saying go take a decibel reader and stand there for, like, you know, pointing it at the walls and the outdoor neighbors. But what I am saying is to maybe block out like 30 minutes of, like, go there. If you have the luxury, block out a few minutes during the week to go during different times of the day and just kind of like cruise around, walk around. Just, you know, don't be a creep, but just see. And if you can, ask the neighbors, hey, what would you say the typical noise volume here is during the weekdays at night? Much parties that go on? Now you might be thinking, well, you're just being a piggy person. Trust me, when you pay rent, if you're old enough to pay rent, you'll know what I'm talking about. But also, you have to do, this is called due diligence, something that my sister never did. Because if she knew the scumbags that she would have moved us into, because even though my mom was the one who decided to pay, she was the one who decided to cause an upheaval, and it caused us to move into this crappy location. And I wish I could raise a certain finger at her through the camera and say certain things, but I can't because I don't want to edit it out, first of all, and second of all, it's probably gonna limit my monetization in the future. I don't want to get a strike. Now, what was I talking about? Oh yes, you know, they had a long history of parking and telling us when to do it. My other pet peeve was how much money we got. My mom, you know, I was a young kid. I didn't know. I thought the world was good. So if anybody asked me, Alex, why are you so cynical? Why do you hate the world? It's because of people like him. Because I've never said this truly out loud, but he scammed my mom out of so much money. So now I'm trying to work hard to get my mom out of this poverty situation. We don't live, I just don't like it here. You can hear the crickets. You can hear, there was two people who, this is another thing. There are more dead people here than there are in a graveyard. Of course, that's a slight exaggeration, but I'm not going to lessen up on it entirely. Because you shouldn't live in a neighborhood where people really should get killed this off. Two people died here. One time there was a removal of like mass weapons. I remember there was like big rifles being taken out, like 4 of them. And then one time somebody pointed a gun at somebody that lives across, you know, in this little crappy neighborhood. I think mouses, whatever Tom and Jerry, whatever that thing in Tom and Jerry is, that rat, that mouse, they live in better living spaces in the wall through that little cutout that they have than we do here. And then also, here's another thing. We got accused of being the ones that were breeding the rats. I don't even know what that means, breeding. Like we were manually making them have intercourse in the name of breeding. What they mean is that we were the ones that caused this upheaval and this uptick in rats being bred. First of all, no one should ever say an uptick. Just say that there weren't no rats before and now there are. Because an uptick makes it seem like there was before and now there's more, and that you were happy with the low number prior relative to what it is now. It makes you sound like a moron. The other thing that they were saying is, aside from causing it, you know, we later found out that they were the ones that actually caused them, and that they leached on over here, and I had to like practically kill them with poison, like this like really dangerous poison that I got from an acquaintance at work. He gave me these like little pouches that are poison, and you like throw them in the holes and they eat them and die. Aside from doing that, what strike are we on? Strike 15? We have more strikes than Hollywood has had writer strikes in the last 50 years. That's unbelievable, because writers are so under respected and underpaid. They write our movies and shows, so let's give them a round of applause. I think I can do that as long as I keep Charlie Kirk's name out of my mouth. That being said, here's what we do want to do. Or what we want, you know, we got rid of the rats. They still have the rats. It was almost like that horror movie Willard, if you've ever seen it. That movie about that man who has like a fixation on rats. And, you know, I think part of the reason why it was so hard, why they let the rats live with him for so long, was because the mechanic, you know, he would wake up next to his ugly rat wife and, you know, yeah, I mean, can you blame him? It was hard for him to distinguish the rats to his rat. That ugly, nasty, haggard, ugly, wretched woman. Yeah. That being said, that was another issue. What was another issue? Ah! Yes. I remember. Yeah. The money, the rats, the parking. My biggest issue was their character, because you know, you can see that their character shines through all the things that I just listed. And yes, but my biggest pet peeve is that when we would ask them to move or to respect their space or to do, you know, when you know, we didn't know that this was a bad mechanic, you know, because I was young and I didn't start to get my dreams, and my rose-colored glasses came off. They came off faster than my clothes would have came off if I was in a room alone with Kevin Spacey. You know how fast that is? Kevin Spacey takes off the clothes of boys relatively quick from what I heard. I don't have any experience, but I just went from what I've heard. And what was the analogy I was trying to say? Damn, I forgot. It was something along, oh, no, I don't remember. Yeah, you know, these people were just disrespectful, but their character was just not there. We would ask them to like take their car out, and they wouldn't. And then they would repeatedly do it. And what we didn't like is how they would pretend that they were doing nothing. There's a term for this. It's a very lesser known term. It's called being a dead fly. We've all heard of fly on the wall. A dead fly is somebody who pretty much, you know, bzzz, bzzz, they come around bothering you. But when you try to hit them, like to kill the fly, they go like this. They pretend like they didn't do anything. So essentially, it's just playing. It's wearing the sign that says, "Hey, it wasn't me. It wasn't me." When we all know it was you. Now, you might be wondering, how long did this go on for? Since we had moved in, you know, because my mom decided we had 2 parking spots. So, you know, when my sister moved out, he would use our second parking spot. Use it and use it and use it. First of all, fuck this guy. Fuck this family. Fuck our neighbors. His name is Jesus Montagnel, and I hope you have your comeuppance real soon. I don't like you. I don't like your family. This is not any speech that's hateful. It's just the truth. And that being said, what I do want to continue on to is, how long did it go on to? You know, from 2013. So roughly about like a year after we moved in, or probably 2 or 3. And also, that's the thing. This landlord sucks. It took him like 10 years to fix a light. It took him a week to fix a broken window that was, you know, it was pretty shattered. You know, somebody could have broken in, and I would tell my mom, if I get mugged or something else while I'm sleeping, I'm gonna blame it on you, landlord. His name is Enrique Caruth, and he lives in Hollister, California. Yeah, don't you? You're such a sweetheart. But it's not funny. Because I will be rich, and I will come back after everyone who hurt me. I said that to the guy at a smoke shop, and he was like, oh, there you go. That's why you want to be famous. But, you know, aside from their behavior and being lackluster, not caring whatsoever, you know, enough is enough. You start to get tired, you start to get angry. And about, how long does it go on for? Probably up until like a year ago. So, from about 2013 to about 2024, that's like about 11 years. 11 years being complacent. Now, what I call this, and I didn't coin this term, it's called the Hulk effect. The Hulk effect. Hulk syndrome, pretty much. Where you bottle it, and it erupts. Now, you might be wondering, well, what erupted? We did. So, we didn't take this very lightly, you know? We wanted to show them a lesson of what it's like to be treated like crap. And how it's not funny when, you know, this was a matter of principle. The principle was, it's not fun when you do something bad and people try to talk to you respectfully and you say, no, it wasn't me. So what we decided to do was give them the same feeling, the same treatment. So what did I do? I remember I started throwing like bricks I started throwing bricks very far from where I live over to them. It was probably like, well, not that far, but it was a quarter of a mile. And I'd throw that and rocks and stuff. And I remember it would like go into their property. And they started to respect us, you know? They started to respect us. But one time, you know, there was an incident where I remember I pull in and there was this faux gangster. He thought he was cool. It looked like something out of On My Block or what's that? Blood In, Blood Out. He was a faux gangster. You know, in other words, a fake gangster. The only person he ever really hit was his wife. And, you know, if you want to go ahead and role play Chris Brown and Rihanna, go ahead and do it. But don't bring that onto my territory. Because I remember one day I park into my parking spot. I get out of my car, I go to my trunk. So about a 6-second gap, right? Within that, the gangster who doesn't even live there comes up and approaches me. He's like, hey, yo, what's up? I said, what are you talking about? He's like, you're throwing stuff in eggs? I said, no, that's not me. And do you really want to go ahead and do this? He's like, it's you. I said, no, it's not. Because last time I checked, somebody else took one of our hubcaps. And he starts to step over like, huh? I said, no, I didn't. I just took a step like this, a little back, because he was a little too comfortable getting close to me. And this is what happens when you don't let people push you around. They don't like it, and they try to push you even more to see if you're going to back down. Now, I decided to rage bait him, and I said something along the lines of, how does it feel to be a 50-year-old going up against a 20-year-old? And he said, who's something about 50? I said, oh, I don't know. Sorry, I must have read the signs wrong because you have all these wrinkles on your face. It must have been from doing all those illicit drugs. And then another thing is, how does it feel to be a 50-year-old in jail and to have dropped the soap? He's like, I never went to jail. And that's when I said, so that's what you didn't do. You didn't go to jail, but you did drop the soap. And then he's like, what is up with you? Like at that point, he was just like, I don't know if he was sad or mad, but he was just like, what the heck? You're crazy. And then I said, you're doing you must feel very good about yourself because you just ruined the party, boy. You know, because there was a little kids party. Now the funny thing here is there was like 6 of them, like 6 other, the other neighbors that live there in the other duplex, and they were all watching this. Now you might be wondering, did they come in and stop him? No, this was all an agenda. This was all premeditated, and they thought I was just gonna sit there and stroke their cock, but I wasn't. Now the upsetting part is this. First of all, they did nothing. The landlord did nothing. We went to the cops and they're like, go ahead and file a restraining order. Now you file it. We can't do it here. You gotta go to court because the court is responsible for that, rightfully so. So when I'm talking, you might be wondering, well, the cop, what happened? Did you call him? No, I didn't. And I think it might have been beneficial. First of all, the cops here where I live, they're about as useful as a torn condom. So not very useful. Second thing, I go to the Chandler Police Department. This is the thing. They tell me to wait at the office, in the lobby, I guess I should say. And the interesting thing is, let me see if this is still recording. The funny thing is, we go there, we ask to speak with the officer, we get a random call, so I of course pick it up. Because I was told it would be somebody, because, look, this sounds really confusing. You might think I'm lying, but we get a call from the officer who's like 30 feet in the office within the building that we are in the lobby in. You would think he would have the decency to come out. Now, if you don't think I lost faith in, the police department in my city, yes, I did. I think unicorns, I have more faith in seeing a unicorn being ridden by Santa Claus. And I'm not saying that because a unicorn can't handle the weight of a obese Joe Vito man. I'm saying that because, it's just 2 unlike things that we haven't seen yet. But I believe that more, those 2 components together, and then lightning, just mythically just strikes down and it looks beautiful and it hits Santa Claus and he becomes into Santa Zeus. And then that unicorn, Lord, he becomes into a mythical creature. I have more faith in experiencing that in my lifetime than experiencing the department and my police doing their job. Aside from traffic stops, because stopping somebody going 3 miles over the limit is amazing. And, the thing here is, I go, they say, I get a call from this guy who's in the office. So essentially, this is pretty much a big, we don't care about you, as they say, or big F you. And he's telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, well, what can I do? I tell him the whole story, because the funny thing is they didn't know it was me who was throwing the bricks. Because they didn't have cameras. Now they have more cameras than colonoscopy office, And that's the thing, To my neighbors, I hope they watch this. I hope that you essentially... I know you guys can't wait until you reach 60 so you guys can go get your routine colonoscopy because you guys have so many cameras around your house. You guys think you're the CIA, but also you have so many cameras that it's impossible for me not to think you want to receive a colonoscopy. And unfortunately for those Ring cameras, as compact as they are, they don't fit up there. They don't come with complimentary lube. Jeff Bezos wouldn't do that, you know? He's a little too greedy. But I don't blame him. There's a reason he's a billionaire. Because he's amazing at what he does. Not that I support Amazon all the way. I actually don't even support streaming services. I just watch everything for free. Because I'm a pirate, you know? Arr, matey. They cut that one out. That was horrible. Jesus. But yeah, they didn't know that it was me. They just speculated. And I threw eggs and stuff. But, you know, their reckoning will come. It's going to be poetic justice. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to become famous. I'm going to have more money. I'm going to marry my crush. I don't have one right now. I had a crush at a place I used to go regularly. But she no longer works there. That being said, you know, I just don't know how the cops, you know, because I told them the story that I didn't tell them it was me throwing the bricks. First of all, I just said they accused us, and they're like, well, go ahead and get more cameras. And I said, well, what if they try to retaliate? Because this whole thing is just, you know, even though I did kind of start it, they started it a long time ago. And now, you know, these people don't even talk to us. They don't like us. We hate them. They're a waste of sperm, first of all. I didn't come up with that. That was Flights Reacts. That term, the waste of sperm. And anyhow, just my opinion, this is what I want to say. The cops didn't do a very good job. Second of all, he's like, file a restraining order. And in my head, I'm thinking, what is a restraining order going to do? Like, do I show it to him when he's in the middle of killing me or raping, you know, or doing things to me, like sexually assaulting me? Is that what I'm going to do? Do I show it to him and say, hey, stop, is he hitting me? Because I feel like I would have more luck casting a spell by putting salt around me in a circular motion, making a circle with salt, and then doing a hex and saying, please don't let this man get near me, please don't let this man near me, please don't let this man near me. And then, you know, and now any one of them who gets near me, like, immediately starts like going into seizure mode, foaming at the mouth. I have more faith in that. And so then I'm like, so what can we do? He's like, well, you can get also cameras. Why? So I can record myself getting shot and beat up? I don't want to be on Live Leak. I know it's not active anymore, but there's still gore shock sites out there. You know, I don't want that. Now, you might be wondering, what's the silver lining to this? There's absolutely no silver lining to this. This is an absolute disgrace. My sister brought us here. I hate her. I hope she gets her comeuppance too. When I move and I take my mom with me to whatever beautiful, even if it's a manufactured home and it's a nice manufactured house, I'm taking my mom with me because I'm not going to leave her here. And no, there is no silver lining to this. The only possible silver lining is that I get to, you know, and here's the thing. There's another guy who comes in here who's like, they got like 4 different girls here, like their daughters have like boyfriends from, they've got like so many boyfriends. It's like the whole Neil polyamorous relationship. If you know the Neil relationship that he has with 4 women, that's like this here. It's 1 woman and 4 guys. For every 1 woman here, there's like 4 guys to them. And, you know, today I was walking out, I just had this look. And we made eye contact, and he was like this. And I get into my car. I'm in my car right now. And he's like, he's giving. So imagine you are in your car, and I'm giving him this look. Like that. His face looks like a burnt cigarette bud. And I think he's, you know, you just can't fight with these people because it's going to lead into a physical altercation. And I think more people should get into fights without the cops, because then it would really cement who the bigger person is. You lose, hey, keep your head down, you're a loser. If you win, if I win, we got to walk around here proudly. But of course that's not going to happen because you guys don't, we have all too much to lose. But like I said, there is no silver lining to this. The only possible silver lining is that it forces me to work hard, it forces me to go to the gym harder, it forces me to just commit myself to my dream, because I don't want to die here, you know? And, you know, Okay, so I'm back because it didn't record all the whole thing, unfortunately. So now I gotta tell the whole thing over again just from the last part. But, yeah, essentially there is no silver lining to this. Yeah. Now, that being said, I am in a competition for the face of Halloween. It's a Halloween contest, and I will be transparent with you. There is a cash prize. It's only $13,000. I'm kidding. That's a lot of money. And I'm gonna leave the link in the video description below. You just copy and paste it, insert it into the search bar, or the search address. Hit enter, and you verify with your Facebook account. It's a free vote, and I just wanted to say, thank you. If hopefully people watch this video and feel good, and hopefully this felt like a safe place for you guys to be here and have fun. And I would love to see you guys come back next week. That's why we do this, us content creators. We want people to like our content and feel good watching it. And especially me as a performer and actor. This is, once again, satire. So I just hope you guys enjoy what I did. And I hope to see you guys next time. And this is your host, Alex Silva, logging off.
And welcome back to this week's episode of the Broken Kid Podcast. If the setup looks a little different, then it's because it is, and you're not hallucinating. But, to get straight to the point, I don't like to ask for things, but I'm in a competition, and it's for Halloween, and there's a link below. I'm going to keep it pretty short and simple. All you have to do is click the link, and if you have a Facebook account, you can go ahead and just do a simple vote. It takes about 30 seconds. So maybe this is catering to the wrong people. I should be catering to your grandma or your aunts and uncles who do have Facebook. But if you do have it, go ahead and click the link below. And it's pretty much just a contest, a little contest where you could, win a few prizes. But it's for the face of Halloween. And I'm a big fan of Halloween, and if you would like to do that, go ahead and feel free to check out the profile. There's a few pictures up there. I want to upload more, but if you feel like it's beckoning you to simply just do a simple thing, I would greatly appreciate it. And that's all I'm asking. And if you don't want to, that's totally fine. But we're gonna go to the normal production in a few days, where I'm gonna be uploading normal videos. And I just wanted to throw that opportunity out there. And to anybody who does vote, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your support.